What if history isn't as simple as we think? What if civilizations of the past achieved technological feats that rival or even surpass our own? What if a Greek engineer built a machine that could predict eclipses? If a simple clay jar could generate electricity? If Roman architects knew a formula for concrete that modern science is only now beginning to understand? These aren't just what ifs, they're real discoveries that challenge everything we thought we knew about the past. This is the story of 5 inventions so advanced they shouldn't have existed, and yet they did. The year is 100 BCE. A Greek scholar stands atop a white marble observatory, staring at the night sky. He records the movements of planets with careful precision, tracking them by hand the same way generations before him have done. But what if he had a machine to do it for him? 2,000 years ago, someone built just that. A device so intricate, so advanced, that it took modern scientists over a century to understand its purpose. Hidden beneath the waves for centuries, it waited to be discovered. And when it was, it changed everything we thought we knew about ancient technology. And that discovery happened in 1901, when a group of Greek sponge divers, bracing against stormy waves, plunged into the depths of the island of Antikythera. One of them, struggling against the current, spots something unusual, a sunken shipwreck, its remains scattered across the ocean floor. Among broken amphorae and statues, he finds something unexpected, a lump of corroded bronze, encrusted with centuries of marine growth. They haul it to the surface, unaware that they had just uncovered one of the greatest archaeological mysteries of all time. This is the Antikythera Mechanism, a mechanical computer from ancient Greece. It could predict planetary movements, eclipses, and even track the cycles of the Olympic Games with astounding accuracy. But how did they build it, and why was this technology lost? Some believe it was inspired by the teachings of Archimedes, an engineering genius centuries ahead of his time. Others suspect it was part of a broader, hidden tradition of mechanical knowledge, one that vanished from history before it could shape the world. If the Greeks had this level of sophistication, what else did they create that we're yet to uncover? But thousands of miles away in another ancient civilization, a different kind of discovery is taking shape. Not a machine of gears and dials, but something smaller, simpler, yet just as perplexing. Picture this, a Mesopotamian craftsman hunched over his workbench, carefully lowers an iron rod into a clay jar, wrapping it in copper. He pours a mysterious liquid inside, perhaps vinegar, perhaps grape juice, before sealing the jar shut with bitumen. He has no idea that over 2,000 years later, scientists will stumble upon his work and ask, was this the world's first battery? In 1936, during an excavation near Baghdad, archaeologists unearthed something unexpected. A collection of small clay jars, each containing a copper cylinder and an iron rod. They were simple, unassuming objects, but when researchers examined them decades later, they made an astonishing discovery. When filled with an acidic liquid, these jars could generate an electric charge. Could this have been an early attempt at electroplating, using electricity to coat objects in a thin layer of gold? Or was it meant for something else entirely, perhaps medical or religious purposes? The truth remains uncertain. Strangely, no electroplated artifacts from this period have ever been found. So if this was a battery, what was it used for? If this truly was an ancient power source, why did the knowledge disappear? Did later civilizations fail to see its significance? Or was it dismissed and forgotten, buried beneath the sands of time? The year is 126 AD. In the heart of Rome, thousands gather in awe as Emperor Hadrian unveils his latest architectural masterpiece, the Pantheon. Its massive dome, stretching nearly 150 feet across, seems to defy gravity itself. Stonecutters, engineers, and artisans look on, knowing they have just built something that might just last forever. Rome was a city of marvels, colossal aqueducts that brought fresh water from distant mountains, roads stretching across continents, and towering amphitheatres where crowds roared as gladiators fought. But among all of these achievements, one of Rome's greatest innovations wasn't carved in marble or moulded in bronze. It was poured. The Pantheon in Rome is a marvel of engineering. Its massive concrete dome, the largest unreinforced dome in the world, has stood the test of time. But why? Modern concrete, despite all of our technological achievements, crumbles in just a few decades. Yet Roman concrete, over 2,000 years old, has only grown stronger. How did they do it? The secret lies in volcanic ash. When mixed with lime and seawater, it triggered a chemical reaction that made the concrete not just durable, but self-healing. When cracks formed, minerals within the mix reacted with water and sealed them over time. It wasn't just concrete, it was an ancient form of smart technology. And this wasn't just a happy accident. It was the result of meticulous engineering, made possible by the vastness of the Roman Empire. Volcanic ash from Mount Vesuvius, lime from distant quarries, and techniques perfected by generations of builders, all of it came together to create a material unlike anything the world had ever seen before. If we could unlock this lost formula, it could revolutionize modern construction. Buildings that repair their own cracks, roads that never need repaving, infrastructure that could last for centuries instead of decades. Scientists today are racing to rediscover the secret of Roman concrete. But the question remains, how did we even get it in the first place? And what other ancient technologies from this empire, way ahead of its time, are just waiting to be rediscovered? The Romans mastered concrete, aqueducts, and engineering on an empire-wide scale. But their innovations didn't stop with buildings and roads. They created something far smaller, and yet, in some ways, even more advanced. A simple cup, crafted nearly 1600 years ago, still has scientists scratching their heads today. The year is 400 AD. In the workshops of a skilled Roman glassmaker, molten glass glows red-hot as artisans mix in tiny flecks of gold and silver. What they are creating is not just art, it is something that will baffle modern science centuries later. Let's set the scene. Imagine a grand Roman banquet. Flickering torches cast golden light over flowing wine, rich food, and opulent decor. Nobles dressed in their finest tunics laugh and exchange stories, their jeweled rings glinting as they raise their goblets in celebration. But among them, one guest suddenly pauses. He tilts his chalice towards the firelight, his eyes widening. The deep green cup in his hand is changing colour, transforming before his very eyes into a glowing blood red. A hush falls over the room. Is this magic, a divine blessing, or something far more incredible? At first glance, it looks like an ordinary drinking vessel, but the Lycurgus Cup is anything but ordinary. This 4th century Roman artifact contains nanoparticles of gold and silver, so finely dispersed that they manipulate light at the molecular level. It's an effect modern scientists only began to understand in the 20th century. This is nanotechnology in ancient Rome. The presence of these nanoparticles allows the cup to scatter and refract light in a way that makes it appear one colour when lit from the front and another when lit from behind. But here's the real question. Did the Romans know exactly what they were doing, or was this discovery made by accident? Some experts believe this technology may have had applications beyond art. If Roman craftsmen could manipulate materials at a nanoscale, could they have used similar techniques in medicine, early optics, even security? The theory goes that the cup might have acted as a crude sensor, changing colours when different substances were poured inside. If true, this would mean that the Romans were on the verge of creating a kind of chemical detection system centuries ahead of time. Today, researchers are studying the Lycurgus Cup to develop new technology, potentially revolutionizing fields like biomedical imaging and security. What was once a simple goblet at a Roman feast may hold the key to breakthroughs in the modern world. But if this knowledge existed in the 4th century, what else did the Romans discover that we're yet to uncover? While the Romans were refining materials on a microscopic level, the Vikings were perfecting something just as astonishing: metalwork that seemed centuries ahead of its time. In the cold northern forges of medieval Europe, blacksmiths crafted swords of near mythical quality. These weren't just weapons, they were symbols of power, innovation, and prestige. And the most famous of them all bore a single name: Ulfberht. A typical medieval sword was brittle, filled with impurities, and prone to breaking in battle. But an Ulfberht sword was something else entirely. Crafted from steel so pure, it wouldn't be seen again until the Industrial Revolution. But how did they do it? The secret lies in a material known as crucible steel, an advanced form of metal that required extreme heat and precision to produce. But here's the mystery. This technique wasn't developed in Northern Europe. It originated thousands of miles away in Central Asia. So how did the Vikings get their hands on it? This suggests that Vikings were more than just raiders and warriors. They were also master traders, forging connections across continents to acquire the best materials. But another theory still lingers. What if they figured out the secret all by themselves? Could they have been an unknown Viking forge, capable of producing steel centuries ahead of its time? The presence of such steel in Viking weaponry raises more questions than answers. Was this knowledge lost with time, stolen, or intentionally kept a secret? Whatever the truth, the Ulfberht swords remain one of history's greatest metallurgical mysteries. These aren't just artifacts, they're proof that history isn't as simple as we once believed. That innovation didn't follow a straight path. It appeared in bursts of brilliance, only to be lost, buried, and forgotten. But what else has been lost to time? What secrets still lie hidden beneath the earth, waiting to be found? If the past held wonders like these, what marvels might the future hold? And more importantly, what other forgotten technologies are still buried beneath the sands of time, waiting for us to find them? I'll leave that question to you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.